What will the F-14, the Iranian F-14 look like in the game? Hello guys, once again it's Matt. Thank you all the members and patrons. Make sure to subscribe. And of course guys, the F-14A for the Iranians actually got confirmed that is coming as an event vehicle. We have to wait and see some of the more developed dev blogs and when I get the vehicle to test it out to how you will see, but this might take a little bit of time. So I just might as well do a video on what you should expect from this aircraft. What are the weapon systems that you should expect and what BR and how it would fly. So for the aircraft itself, expect a very similar aircraft from the F-14 that we have in the game, the A, right? No TCS or anything like that. It would be a very early F-14. Okay guys, the main difference in real life was basically just the internal avionics of the aircraft that were basically made a little bit different from the classified avionics that the F-14 used. So it will be a little bit of a different avionics system, but for the game itself, it will basically be the same with a different skin for the aircraft itself. So expect the same performance, the F-30 engines, nothing crazy there. The same AWG-9 radar, you know. Where things really change is on the weapon system. So on the AIM-9s, for example, it will not only it will not use the Navy's AIM-9s. It will not use the AIM-9D, G, and H that the normal F-14A early that we have in the game use. It will actually use the AIM-9P, which is an AIM-9J, right? So expect a little bit more turn and a little bit less energy. Overall, I still believe that it will be less reliable to get kills than the AIM-9H. But I mean, it depends on situation, right? But I just believe that it will be one of those missiles that bring the performance of the aircraft a little bit back, okay? Another nerf, quote unquote, would be the AIM-7 that it uses. It doesn't use the AIM-7F. It uses actually the AIM-7E 2, right? Technically, in real life, if I'm not mistaken, it is the E4, but it doesn't matter. They're pretty much the same missile, just with a slightly upgrade to actually be used on the F-14. And it was already confirmed that it will use the AIM-7E2 dogfight in the game, okay? So expect that missile to be added, which is a very early missile. It's a, what, 1969 missile or something? So it's very old, right? And with that, don't expect to use this barrel too much unless you are just stock grinding it, because it will be kind of bad. And then, of course, the AIM-54. The AIM-54, normal AIM-54A, nothing too crazy, same missile as always. So for the US missiles that this aircraft would use, it would actually even bring the BR to a lower stand, because it is kind of a downgrade, especially on the Sparrow, right? But then they actually are going to probably introduce the Soviet R-27R1. It is kind of confirmed, but again, this is subject to change, the weapon systems that this thing will have. But apparently, yeah, the R-27R1 would be used, which is the exported model of the R-27R. Pretty much the same, okay? So yeah, doesn't have a lot of range like the ER, but it's still very much on par, or close to be on par, with the AIM-7F on range, and of course it turns better than the AIM-7F. So probably that will make this aircraft be a 12.3 on the very least, right? Using the R-27R. It will be very effective. The radar is pretty amazing. As you know, the AWG-9 is one of the best radars at that time. I mean, probably the best radar at that time. So in these BR situations, this will probably be one of the best radars you have, with one of the best semi-active radar homing missiles that you have, the R-27, right? So if you use the AIM-9P together with the AIM-54 and the R-27Rs, it will probably be a very competitive aircraft. I mean, 12.3 will probably dominate, just like the normal F-14A is already doing it, right? But then, if it comes to the 12.3, okay, it's fine. But in the dev blog, they said that in the service, I mean, it's complicated because normally dev blogs, they don't tell the full story, right? So we don't know yet, and the weapon systems are still being confirmed, okay? So this is not a confirmation that these missiles will come, but there are 3 options of other missiles and rockets and stuff that the Iranians can actually use on the F-14 technically. I mean, it's at least what they are saying on the dev blog, right? So if that comes, it might change a little bit of the BR and how this aircraft is. So what are those missiles? Well, for air-to-air would be the Fakur 90 and the Ajude. Okay, the Fakur 90 is basically an evolution of the M54 using some other things about it. Okay, so it would use a new engine, a rocket motor identified on analysis of being very similar to something like the Hawk engine, so it would be a little bit different, and of course a different seeker in conjunction to being basically a domestic design, but being an M54 together with a Hawk design, something along those lines. But it's hard to know what this would look like. It's a 600 kilogram missile, so it's a very, very heavy missile, and the maximum firing range apparently it's like 150 kilometers, having INS, inertial navigation, and of course data link and an active radar homing, meaning that it will be basically an evolution of the M54 but made domestically. That's pretty much what it is, right? So if this thing is added, it might change a little bit of the, you know, of the BR of the aircraft, right? I don't know how this aircraft would look like, how much it would turn. Probably not a lot because it's a heavy missile, but it could change a little bit. It might be just an M54. We don't know. And then we have the Ajude, which is basically, it's a very weird missile. It's basically a developed Hawk missile. So yeah, the Hawk, the MIM-23, it's basically that, but to be used in an aircraft. So it's a very large missile as well, 500 kilograms, and it's semi-active, you know, as in the guidance of it. And of course, you would have a 90-kilometer operational range and being very, very fast. Another missile that probably doesn't turn very well, but it would have a lot of range and a lot of energy. So another missile that could be added that can change a little bit of the performance of this thing. The thing is that the Fakur probably would be used in the middle pylons, but the Ajude and the R-27 will probably just be used in the outer wing pylons, okay? Meaning, not the outer ones, but the, you know, the wing pylons. Only two of them, because of the weight, because of the way that the missile is, and etc., right? So yeah, there are many instances here, because apparently the Iranians gave the Soviets an F-14 and helped and asked for help to basically do stuff with it. So I don't know what stuff they did with it, if they integrated the R-27 fully onto the aircraft, I don't know, but yeah, this would change the BR of it depending on how these missiles are added, okay? But it should be a 12.3, 12.7, probably dominating these BRs as well as the just like the normal F-14A. And then we have the Acer rockets, 750-pound warhead rocket, very large rocket, and it could be a thing that can be used as well, which would be very cool as well. But yeah, I don't know exactly if they're gonna add these missiles or not, these different missiles, but for sure it will be around the same performance as the normal F-14. So if you have the normal F-14, the A, right, expect something similar to that with some spice done to it, with different little missiles here and there, but in a general sense the same aircraft, okay? So yeah, this is what you should expect from this aircraft. Consider it, getting it. It will be an aircraft that will be worth a lot of money, I have a feeling, even though it's a copy-paste. So yeah, check it out. Let me know in the comments if you're gonna get it or not, and I see you guys on the next one. Subscribe, and bye guys, see you.